'cause you know everything.
It's been Agatha all along.
And I killed Sparky, too.
Welcome back, Blerd family, to another episode of Blerd Up Reviews, where we review the latest and greatest in movie, TV, and gaming. We are your hosts. I'm Killer Cam.
And I'm Monique.
And ooh, this has got to be the bestest episode that we have seen thus far.
Right. Yeah, I am right there. Ooh, especially the ending, which I cannot wait to talk about.
I know, right? This was just all in all through. So let me tell you something. I watched this shit at 6 o'clock in the morning. I had coal in my eyes. You know how I look when I first wake up. I have my glasses on, like my hoodie. So I'm sitting in my chair drinking my coffee. It comes on and it just starts getting louder and louder. I kid you not. It's like 6:15 and I'm in here yelling at the screen, Monica with the landing, Monica. Like, I know my neighbors, if they could hear me, they was like, what the fuck is he doing over there?
I'm pretty sure they was like, I know, right? Because everybody is pretty much watching this show. I mean, I think it was reported that early on when it was released this morning that Disney Plus actually crashed for about 10 minutes or so. So if everybody's watching this show, they're probably yelling the same things you are.
Well, shoot, let's jump into it because I'm lit, I'm live, I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to break it down because I feel like we got some of the answers we was looking for, plus one major big one. Yeah. Before we do, thank you to everyone who's been liking and subscribing to our channel. Your likes, your views, your subscriptions, your shares, your comments, not for nothing, means so much to us. It helps us grow. It also helps us understand what type of content you're digging. The family, y'all have been on it with these reviews, even though we had a delay with the last couple. You guys still showed up and showed out in our Mortal Kombat trailer reaction. Thank you for all of you. If you've been watching it, we really appreciate it. And if you're new, just stumbling across our channel, a new subscriber, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And just make sure you do hit that like button if you are digging the content. And if you are new, you haven't subscribed yet, you do want to stay up to date with our reviews, reactions, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you too can stay up to date with all of our content. All right. Wandavision, episode 7. You want to kick us off?
Sure thing. So the title of this episode is Breaking the Fourth Wall, and we do get a lot of that in this episode, which I don't mind because I love those shows, especially The Office. That we did get the Office style intro with this episode, and it was also kind of like Modern Family, as well. So we kick off and Wanda's laying in bed, head covers over the head, and Vision's really nowhere to be found. And then the boys, Billy and Tommy, rush in and they're like, Mom, something's wrong with our game. And you can see like things glitching. The game actually glitches. It starts out as it looks like Wii controllers, but they're not like playing it like Wii controllers. They're playing it like Nintendo controllers, but it goes back to like a Nintendo 64 type of controller. Then I think like an Atari controller. Yeah. And then Uno. And at this point, Wanda doesn't really care about what's going on. I think this is, we were seeing her basically at her lowest point of just grief right now, and she's really not concerned with anything other than like trying to get out this funk that she's in, I guess.
Yeah. And I was the opposite. I don't think it was grief. I feel like she was freaking exhausted. She just expanded this hex so far Because even when she's coming downstairs, she's seeing stuff glitched, she's getting the milk carton, the bottle. It started off as like almond milk or something, and then it turned to regular milk. Then it was like the milk bottle or whatever. And like Tommy and Billy was like, "Where is Dad? If he wants to be here, he would be here." Girl,
Right.
like I was
Right.
like, "What's wrong with you?"
Right.
But
You also have this scene too where Billy's like, Mom, my head feels funny. I just hear just a lot of voices.
Mhm.
And Wanda misses this prime opportunity to help, Billy with what's going on because he's Wiccan. He's got the same powers that she does, but she misses this prime opportunity to actually be a mommy.
Right, and have the talk with him like,
Mhm.
all right, so you're more like me. Like, this is what it is, blah blah blah. So
Mhm.
yeah, she's out of it. Like she's freaking out of it at this point. And later in the episode, again, some of the theories we thought of just kind of tend to come right together. So
Mhm. Mhm. After this scene, before we jump to Hayward and Sword, Nim, uh, we see Agnes comes over as always, and she basically is like, "Oh, Wanda, what's going on, girl?" And she's like, "You know what? Let me take the boys off your hands for you." And instead, I literally yelled at the TV at this. I was like, "Do not let them kids out of your sight, please."
right.
But he was like, "No, just take them." And I was like, "Girl, like you just letting this happen, like this is," and that's why I found myself being angry at various points of this episode with Wanda, because she just is like letting all this stuff happen. And I know Agnes has
Mm,
kind of set it up where she would get to that point where she would just be like easy pickings, but
yeah.
I still was like yelling at the TV like, really we gonna do
Yeah.
this, really?
But
Yeah.
that's kind of what, like, so again, I'm like looking at, well, not looking, but thinking back in all these movies, this kind of what happens though. If you
Mhm.
think about what's been going on, and this is what they call in, I just read a lot, you guys, so don't like be like you weirdo or whatever.
No, you're weird, but that's okay.
When it comes to like possession and stuff like that, one of the first stages is seduction. First the ghost is like very helpful, or the spirit's very helpful, then they seduce you by doing good things or whatever, and by that time they've already drained your energy and exhausted you, which
Mhm.
of course we'll get into a little bit later. But that's why she was kind of like in a I don't give a moment, because the night before she just expanded this whole hex out, which is pretty extensive once we really get to look at it. But
Mhm.
also there's this character here that's kind of pulling the strings in a sense,
Mhm.
seducing her and like getting her where she wants her so she can meet her ends, basically.
Yep. Yep. In the next scene, we get to see Hayward and Sword, and they're setting up their new temporary operations. And we learn that he is setting up for something big. He's basically saying, what does he say exactly? We launch soon, or we're launching an attack basically soon.
Mhm.
They do lose the broadcast signal within the hex, though, so they don't exactly know everything that's going on in the hex right now. But again, they're setting up for something big, and we're most likely going to see that in the next episode.
Yeah.
We jump to Vision, who wakes up. He's waking up from like practically tearing himself apart from trying to come out the hex, and he's in the middle of a circus. He finds Darcy, who is the escape artist of the circus, which makes sense because she was cuffed in the last episode when she was sucked into the hex. But basically, we jump back to Wanda when she's having that conversation, telling the boys like, don't trust Pietro. And they're like, why? And she's like, I don't know, I don't have all the answers, life is meaningless, everything is meaningless. And that, oh my gosh, I at this whole scene I was like, like really,
Yeah.
like this is your kids, you really just gonna sit here and tell them life is meaningless and stuff like that,
Yeah.
everything is meaningless. But um
This was kind of the first episode though where you really start, we thought it in the previous episodes, but you really start to see you don't control nothing, you're just a
mhm,
tool here, you know so it was kind of the first time where we could fully acknowledge, yeah, you're doing this, but somebody's pulling the strings. We've always said that, but like, you're not in control. You are
Yeah.
not in control in any way.
And I want to highlight, because I feel like she stole this from Amanda Seals when she was like, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Amanda Seals did that first, and I think she did it better on Insecure. When she was like, I'm fine. I'm fine. Fine. It's fine. It's fine. So sorry. Anyways, after that, we jump to Jimmy and Monica. They're reading in the car on the way to the rendezvous point to meet with their engineer. But while they're driving, Jimmy is reading the email from Darcy. Basically, the email states just exactly what we had previously thought. Hayward was not basically trying to bring Vision back online. He was, experimenting on Vision against his living will. And basically that project is basically codenamed Cataract, which is the project we learned about in the very last episode. But we finally do get to a point where they meet up, Monica and Jimmy meet up with their engineer friend, who turns out to be not who we thought it was gonna be. It's Adrian Goodner, which I don't. Yeah, it's not Reed Richards. It's not.
well, here's what I think. I feel like she's kind of like an extension of. I'm not counting out the fact that we're not gonna get an engineer here. I feel like this is probably a representative of it, because basically what they did was they took an existing rover and just retrofitted it with her specifications. This one person didn't do it by themselves. They have to have an R&D department or somebody involved in it. So I feel like we're still going to get an engineer. And shout out to our subs, man, who've been down in them comments. There's been a lot of great theories. Of course, we brought up Riri Williams. We brought up, of course, Mr. Fantastic. One of our subs brought up, hey, it could be Hank from the X-Men. You never know here. It's not like the MCU or the Marvel universe as a whole isn't short on engineers. So
yeah, and we could possibly see. If this wasn't the engineer, we can possibly see that engineer pop up. But we do learn from this interaction that there is a faction of S.W.O.R.D. that is basically loyal to Monica and Maria. So I think that's kind of setting up, maybe Monica could potentially take over, Hayward's position as the head of S.W.O.R.D. But we'll find that out probably later. I don't know.
It would explain all his animosity and his backhanded shade towards her. You know what I mean? That would explain why there's this underlying rivalry. I cannot say ours today. Rivalry between the two. So
yeah. We do jump back to Darcy and Vision, and after a lot of
hold on. I need to acknowledge something here. So one of my buddies was like, "Hey, give it up for Monica Rambeau because honey is stacked." Shout out to Comic Book Bullies, Eli.
Not Monica, not Darcy.
No, he was saying Monica, and I said, "Hold on, let's not discount Miss Darcy Lewis, Darcy Lewis." Body yaddy 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 coming through. I was like, dang, girl, she got out the truck like stack. So sorry, I had to deviate to that because it's been a topic of discussion amongst all the fans boys, and I'm like, y'all better give Darcy her props, hopping out top and bottom heavy. Come on now.
I've heard too that we might be seeing a lot more of Darcy in future TV series and movies, because I think a lot of people are hoping that she'll somehow get superpowers from going into the Hex. So if she flies around, cool.
Right. Well, we'll save it for predictions, but I saw something that did catch my eye. So
yeah, okay, cool. But yeah, we're back with Darcy and Vision. They're still in the circus. After a lot of back and forth, Darcy actually says a comment, which I think was I think it was like an Easter egg for us. She says she's notoriously self-involved, and I feel like a lot of people who watched like the Thor movies felt like that was her character, like that was their feedback about her character. And I feel like Marvel just threw that in there and be like, "Here y'all go, y'all said it." So
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. But basically, in the scene, Darcy wakes up. Our Vision wakes up Darcy, just like he has done to others in previous episodes, and she's like, yo, thank you for that. Like, secretly I did want to be a part of all this, but that was terrible. So basically she was feeling that grief, I guess, that everybody feels once they're under that spell. But they decide to basically get out of that circus and try to go back to Vision and Wanda's house, try to figure out what's going on. And why they do that, Darcy's filling in Vision on everything that he doesn't have memories about, so he can get the 411 on everything that's going on. We do have a commercial that they jump to before anything else happens. The commercial is for Nexus. For when you're depressed. So
I was fully expecting side effects may include diarrhea, vomiting at the right moment. Like it wasn't bad enough. So
so I think there's a little bit of Easter egg though in this commercial though, because they do have side effects in there. It's side effects include feeling your feelings, confronting your truth, seizing your destiny, and possibly more depression. You should not take Nexus until your doctor has cleared you to move on with your life. Nexus, because the world doesn't revolve around you, basically is the Nexus because the world doesn't revolve around you, or does it, is basically the tagline for it. But there are a couple of references in that commercial to a doctor, I guess, that is like, hey, ask your doctor about Nexus.
I don't know about you.
Do you think that's referring to Mr. Strange?
The obvious, but for this commercial actually made all the other commercials click for me at this point. We had all been kind of speculating that, they have some sort of meeting, and sometimes you catch it, but you don't necessarily know, like, where they're coming from within this broadcast or whatever. And as we kind of like saw this one, I was like, oh, I feel like we're getting a timeline of what's leading up to current events. So we revisited the first episode. The first commercial was the Stark toaster, which I was like, okay, so this is how Pietro and Wanda, when they were kids and they were invaded in the Stark missile, whatever it was, that was the trigger for all of this to kind of jump off. Next commercial was the watch, Baron von Strucker. Was that what it was? What was the
Baron von Strucker.
So of course we know that they had some involvement. He was running tests on them and stuff or whatever. Third commercial was Calgon, Hydra, take me away. So now they're recruited into Hydra at this point. 4, we didn't get a commercial for. 5 was the Lagos paper towels, which refers when you make a mess that you didn't mean to, referring to Civil War. Then we got Yo Magic, which again in the last episode I was like, okay, we got a parasite, somebody siphoning energy off of her. Later on we learn what that is, and then in this commercial we got Nexus as the main reference point, which you explained to me the Marvel significance rather of what that is. So
we've actually heard of the Nexus before. I believe it was in Age of Ultron, I believe. And I believe it was like the computer system Tony used to help get Jarvis back online after Ultron had tried to kill Jarvis. But in the comic books, the Nexus is actually, and I'm reading this, you guys, so I'm not going off the top of this, I'd mess it up. The Nexus is a cross-dimensional gateway which provides a pathway to any and all possible realities. This includes realities between realities. It is unknown whether it was created by some being or just if it's one place in the entire multiverse where all realities naturally intersect. So yeah. Yeah. I feel like we're gonna see that come into play in these last couple of episodes, because most definitely we've got some multiverse stuff going on right now where you know, obviously Pietro is the Evan Peters Pietro and not the Aaron Taylor Johnson is his last name. Taylor Johnson. Pietro, and as well the creation of Billy and Tommy is Wiccan and Speed. So
it comes back. I feel like it came back later in the episode. It was like, this was probably the most informative episode for me personally. It kind of let me let go of some theories that I had previously, but really focus in on the ones that were starting to pan out. So I think it comes back at the end of the episode. So we'll get to it.
Okay. All right. Next, we jump to the Billy and Tommy are at Agnes's house, and Billy is petting Senor Scratch, which is Agnes's pet bunny, which Scratch is also is, you know, the devil. Agnes, I noticed something in this scene, and I don't know if it was just me being me or if it was actually meant, but she kind of looks at Tommy and she's like, ugh, and then she looks at Billy and she's like, penny for your thoughts. So I feel like she was more interested in Billy than she was Tommy in this scene.
Absolutely. I definitely picked up yo magic. Like we brought this up, you know, there's two very powerful witches that have been identified within this hex up to this point. So of course he would be interesting. And then of course you see him kind of checking her out also. Like, I like it here. It's quiet. You're quiet. And again, we're like
I think that was actually a very important moment, because I'm really not sure if at that point Agnes realized that Billy had his abilities yet. So that made it clear in that scene that he did. And that's when she was like,
you saw her face change, actually. You also, it's like you saw the motivation inside of her change. Almost in that instant. So and shout out, here's another thing I want to call out. So let's like not forget about the amazing costuming that they do on this show, and the way they match the costumes to whatever the scene or whatever the theme of the show is. If you look at how Catherine Hahn's character is dressed, it's in a lot of dark clothing. Well, you look at Wanda, she switches from her red to dark clothing, but then everything else is almost vibrant. Even with Darcy, she's got representations of reds and blues, but they're vibrant. You know what I mean? So again, even with the costume, her hair, the way it's done, the type of makeup that they're using on her face completely changed the tone of her character for me. Like even that scene where you see her change towards Wiccan, it's very apparent that this styling that's been used to her is giving her kind of like a darker undertone. Okay. So, I know you're looking like I don't care about that shit, but
I mean, I do see a little bit of it, but not a lot when I'm watching these episodes, because I'm just like, I don't know. I guess I'm more like looking around the room just to be like, what is that? What is that? What is there? Like, what are they saying? But yeah, I can see that. But I feel like in this scene, Agnes, when she's talking to the boys, where we see Wanda in the beginning of the episode, like not really being a mom, Agnes is taking more of on that mom role in this scene. So I thought that was very interesting to see how it just kind of was like, oh, your mom's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? I gotcha. Yeah. So we jump back to Monica, and she about to get in this vehicle that was built to go through the hex, and she about to fly into that hex. Everybody's like, should be pretty easy, right? So Monica goes full speed into this hex, and I'm surprised she didn't get whiplash. She did it so hard. But
not even that, like the way she fell out of it.
Yeah, she fell out of it. Like when she did, I was like, oh God, oh Lord.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of like when you're playing GTA and you wreck and fly out of the car and you fall down the hill and it's like a rag doll. It's
Yeah, it was exactly like that. I thought actually she was going to be a little bit more hurt than she was because Jimmy's like, get a medevac. And I'm like, no. But she just gets up. She takes a look at this is like one of the funniest parts in this episode because we all knew what she was going to do.
Right.
The only person who didn't was Jimmy Woo and the rest of the sword team back there because she's just like.
It was like you knew as soon as she got up on her feet, like it's not even gonna be a decision. She's got to get back in there, and she's gonna do it. So
right, so she runs full speed into the hex, and we kind of see this really interesting thing going on where I think like it spreads her out a little bit. And the first image of her that you see is her image when she comes back from the snap in the hospital, and then the changes that and clothing that she's been through, you know, going in and out of the hex. And we do hear a lot of voices in the background. Her mom, Captain Marvel, Nick Fury, and her younger self as well. Just, you know, talking about, you know, her mom going into space and like how strong she is, how strong Monica and Maria is. And, you know, at a point, you can hear her say to her mom, like, because her mom's like, no, I'm not going to go to outer space. I can't leave you here. And she's like, you go and I'll go meet you halfway. So I still kind of have a feeling that something happened prior to this that either made it possible for her to, you know, her to, I'm so glad I get to say this, her cells to mutate when she goes into the hex. I'm not sure if it's going to happen to everybody that's going to the hex. I think there's something specific that happened to her prior to this. That caused her to have those abilities. Yeah.
Because remember, we talked about it on the last episode. There's something here. She knows something already is up with her makeup here. Like, I don't think that was done by accident. And I feel like her going into the hex and with its ability to just kind of rewrite things, maybe it kind of activated or kicked off or kicked up whatever she already had going on inside, you know. So
I totally agree.
It was beautiful. It was one of those moments like when you saw her eyes go green, which is which makes sense in my head because throughout this episode her eyes turn different colors. And I didn't notice that the first time I watched. But I was like, that would make sense with who she is and what she's supposed to be able to do. But it was just kind of one of those moments where you're finally like, black girl magic.
Yeah, when she landed and you like, she pulled up and the eyes were the white grayish eyes. I was like, oh. I know who I'm gonna be for this Halloween. Like, I already got the hair. All I need is the contacts, and I need Marvel to come up with the costume. And I am that. I am her.
But again, going back to the costumes, you kind of already saw it with her sword aside, the undersuit she had under her astronaut uniform. Her sword was literally just kind of like a casual version of what her uniform. It's probably going to look like.
I mean, it's the sword uniform, but most definitely it does have the colors of what her like comic book uniform, you know, looks like. But I also feel this is a very important scene because she kind of goes through this transformation through the hex. But I feel like prior to this, she wasn't dealing with the grief of losing her mom, you know, and not being there for her mom. But I feel like her transformation from going outside this hex, inside of the hex, she kind of dealt with that grief and was like, okay, this is who I've got to be. I've got to move on. There's more stuff going on, and I've got to be here to handle it. So I thought that was another reason why this scene was so bomb. And I'm sorry, like back in early 2000s, it was so bomb.
Totally fetch.
Yes.
It's fetch.
Anyways, so we jump back to Vision and Darcy, and Darcy's, you know, giving Vision his not life story, but telling him, well, actually life story.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. She's telling him, hey, you used to be Jarvis, but we put you in an Ultron body, basically. And, Wanda had to kill you, and that worked until Thanos turned back time and then killed you again. And then Wanda had to watch all that. But as she's sitting here telling him all this, there's a stop. There's a stoplight. There's construction workers, and then there's a row of kids that go by. And then basically, these are obstacles that are being put in their way to prevent them from getting to Wanda's. But I know what you're already about to say, and I want to say, I was like, when that stoplight pulled up, I was like, Darcy, if you don't run this red light, like, why are you stopping?
Have you ever been like in a country? I know you have been in the country, and there's just this one cross, one cross street with this random ass stoplight that seems like it takes 5 minutes to change, and there's nobody coming. Like, I'm not finna stop and wait for it.
On my way to college, every time I'd go back and forth to college, I'd hit a light and I'd just be like,
But that crap had me rolling though, because I was like, girl, just go. Yeah. Just go. Like, what they gonna do? Tell the police on you? You know this shit ain't real in here.
Or else maybe she was thinking that I better not run this light, or the police, like Wanda will send the police to come pull me over, and that'll take even longer. Maybe that's what she was thinking. But if it were me, they would have had to chase me down. It would have been an O.J. Simpson chase to try to get me.
Just give me the damn ticket if I can. Just give me the damn ticket, because I wasn't finna sit there for 5 minutes to wait for this light to change.
Right. So we jump back to Monica and Wanda. Wanda's in the house. Stuff is still going wrong, changing without her doing it, and she really cannot figure out what's going on. But Monica runs up outside and she's like, "Hey, Wanda, like, I want to help you. Hayward is trying to get Vision. We can't let him do that." And even at the mention of Hayward's name, Wanda is like, lies. I don't want to hear it. She gets super angry. So that reinforces what we've been stating in previous episodes, where there is something, and it might just be Hayward, doing the experiments on Vision. Yeah. But there is something between Wanda and Hayward, where she hears the word Hayward or anything about sword, she is just like,
so,
I get back,
Let me ask you this, because this was the conclusion I came to in that scene. Because Hayward went out of his way to frame Wanda as a villain, as a terrorist, and all this stuff. And remember, I said I find it very strange that the Avengers, or the core group, would not have taken his body and gave it like a proper burial or something. What if they did and Hayward took it and Wanda was saving Vision?
Yeah.
She got pissed off because he desecrated whatever final resting place that was set up for Vision to grab him and do things, and she broke in to go get it back.
That's totally possible.
So,
yep.
Because that's some disrespectful shit.
Yeah, definitely. But in this scene, we get to see a little bit of Monica's new abilities in action, which I absolutely love, because Wanda was like, "I thought I told you, girl, to don't even come around here." And Monica was like, boom. Not this time.
I yelled at the screen. And I always do this, and I don't know why I never splice it in. But again, I watch and I'll react to it at the same time I film, so I don't have to write notes down or whatever. But at that part, I was like, superhero landing. She's right. Fuck yeah. Like I was watching a football game, because it was that significant.
Right. And I felt in this scene I felt so, just by seeing Monica do that, I felt so empowered, because every single time Wanda has raised her hand to Monica before in this, I've been like, ooh, I can't stand her.
Just wait
but
till
then
I get
Monica got to get back, she was like, girl, it's not gonna work this time, basically. But you
Yeah.
know, Wanda says something that's very interesting, but in this conversation, because Monica says that Hayward's trying to, you know, like paint you as the villain, and you know, and Wanda says, well, maybe I'm already the villain.
Right.
So that statement was, because when she said that, I was like, well, maybe you are the villain. I was like, maybe
Yeah.
this is where we're going right now, because I really think there's somebody, you know, helping you out with this, but maybe shoot, girl, you got it, you know.
Yeah.
But
You
mhm,
know, I looked at it though. So again, it just kind of goes back to her being still grieving.
mhm,
She
mhm,
feels like maybe she's the villain because Vision died first time she killed him, then Thanos took him or whatever. She feels like maybe she should have done more to protect him. Again, Okoye was like, why was she up there all this time? And we
right,
already know that next to Captain Marvel, that she's next in line to probably could have taken Thanos out, right?
yeah,
So maybe
mhm,
there's some guilt understanding that her power, none of this probably could have would have ever happened or gone as far as it did,
right,
you
yeah,
know. But
yeah,
again, maybe she's just like, fuck it, I don't want to be a good girl. I want to be bad girl news now. So
right, right. But Monica does actually almost get to Wanda to a point where she's like, girl, you got to deal with this grief. You can't keep on doing this, yada, yada, yada. And who do we see peeking out the window?
ah.
Let me go take care of it. Agnes. Agnes coming out like, girl, I can't let this happen to you. You done went through enough, Wanda. Come on, girl. You don't need to listen to this. And I was so upset. I was like, Monica, if you don't blast her or do something, blast Agnes out the way. You almost had her.
Right.
But as Agnes is walking Wanda away, Wanda like turns back to Monica and is like, don't make me hurt you. And at that moment, I was like, I felt
Yeah.
like Monica was like, come on with it then.
Yeah. Because
Come on, come on. I'm
you,
tired of playing with you. Quick.
yeah. You know what? It was a part of that because remember when Wanda was like, "You lie," she was like, "Only the ones you put in my mouth," you know. So it's like
Right.
she's getting her get back, and she's like, "Listen, I went through all of this stuff, you know, and I'm angry, and I think I still might want to stay angry, but it's my truth, and you know." So I felt like she was breaking her out of it, but of course, you know, Agnes, and then of course when we're walking away, you kind of see Wanda as a distraught. She's
Mhm.
fearful, you know, because I think deep down, she knows that this has got to come to an end at some
Mhm.
point, someday. And she knows Monica is very capable of doing it, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's an excellent point, because what we're in the 2000s now with these shows.
hmm,
Where are you going to next? What I
yeah,
mean, I don't know.
it's got to end sometime, you know?
Yeah. But at some point we jump back to Darcy and Vision, and at some point Vision just gets fed up with all these roadblocks being put in the way. He's actually talking to the audience, and then he's just, which he really does such a good job in this. He did a great job in this
Yeah.
episode. I love Paul Bettany to death. But he really just looks at, he's like, wait, what am I doing? Like, what?
Right.
Talking to you guys. And he actually just gets up and walks away. And then he like kind of flies out of the truck that him and Darcy in, and Darcy's like, all right, I'll see you there. um but we jump back to Agnes and Wanda. They're both in Agnes's house now. And you know, Agnes is like, girl, chill out. You know, you don't need that stress in your life. You want some tea. And so Wanda sits down. She's like, oh my gosh, you're right. And then she starts looking around, and she sees the plates and cups of Billy and Tommy from when they were over there. And I mean, their food's not finished. And she suddenly realizes, like, wait a minute, where are the twins, Agnes? And Agnes is like, they're in the basement. They're probably playing in the basement. And I think Wanda looks around too, and there's like a locust on the
Yeah.
curtain or something like that. But yeah, Agnes is like, they're in the playing in the basement, probably playing in the basement.
Yeah.
So Wanda goes down to the basement, and girl, all kinds of goodies down here. We have found Agnes's lair. We see that there's symbols all over the wall,
Mm,
animal skeletons and skulls in glass cases. We see a grimoire of some sort just
Mhm.
sitting up there. I think it might have some kind of magic around it too. It was like glowing a little bit orange, I think it
Yeah.
was. But then here walks out Agnes, is like, oh, ha, ha, ha. Well, you didn't think you were the only witch in town, did you? Welcome to
And,
my world.
right. And then we get like the best montage ever
Yeah.
because it was everything that I had in my head as I
Yes.
watched through this.
Everything. I feel like they could have just showed me that snippet and I would have been like, you damn right. Like, I love it. Like, that was the best thing.
Hey, basically like we assumed every obstacle, and this was the funny part to me, that of course Vision thinks it's Wanda, and I feel like us as the
Everybody.
viewers kind of figured that it was just kind of, well, I know, I thought, I was like, it's Agnes. She's the only one that interrupts or just pops up when she's unwanted. And Vision made a statement like, Wanda tries to distract me with things every time she feels like, and I'm like, hey, whatever. But again, like every scene that they showed in her
Yes.
her theme song was what I had in my head. Specifically, if y'all remember on last episode when she was in that damn car and I told you that bitch was faking it.
Right. Right. So we get this whole kind of like scenes of just Agatha doing what the song says. She messing up everything.
Yeah.
We actually see where, like, earlier on in the episode, there's Wanda's saying something to the camera, and the person behind the camera says, well, don't you think you deserve some of this, or something like that? And at that time, before this happened, I was like, who is that?
Who is that? Yeah.
I was like, who is that interviewer? I was like, what's going on here? Well, we learned that is Agatha Harkness. And at the end of the little showing how she's messed up everything, even bringing Pietro to her door. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that because the magic she put on Pietro was kind of like behind him, it wasn't like, I feel like if it was something she created, it would have been all over him maybe, but it was just like behind him. So what do you think about that? Do you think Pietro is still Pietro, or are you thinking that he's somebody else? Or
it can go a couple of different ways here. So again, I'm sorry guys, like I have to go back to, for a while I was reverting, it was like, well, maybe like the other theories are right. Maybe it's an imposter, and then I told you guys I saw the Funko Pop with his name in quotation marks. And I was just kind of like, oh, maybe it's him. But I feel like that's him, or a version of him that she's manipulated. But I also feel like she's playing puppet master with him. Some of those moments between him and her and the kids are genuine, and then some of them are puppet master moments. It can go either way.
Yeah,
it can go either way, but go ahead, because I
was going to say, I completely agree with you, because my thought was that this was not Pietro, this is an imposter, but the mention of the Nexus comes in, and I'm like, well, maybe she did bring in that Pietro from another universe, and she's manipulating him, using him as a puppet, like you said, to distract Wanda, keep Wanda in line basically until she can siphon off all of Wanda's abilities. Because
remember, when he showed up, Wanda was very clear. Like, she looked at Vision, she was like, I did not do that shit. Like, stop trying to put it on me. And then you get into to Agatha's little sanctuary and everything, and it's shaped like a hexagon.
Yes.
I keep saying hex. It's shaped like a hexagon. The symbols on the wall are embossed with hexagons around them. There was symbolism all through her house that it was a place where, I guess I want to call it plagued. Like you said, the locust. There was things, random things scattered around the house that said witchcraft.
Yep.
To me, the statue,
even the mole, even from the
exactly.
mole on the back of her, on her back, that she wanted Wanda to check out earlier in the episode. That's usually a sign of a witch, basically.
From her brooch, we've all noticed that in earlier episodes, and specifically in this one. And again, just with the last episode, with everybody kind of dressed up, as who they really are, she's dressed as a witch.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Played us all, but I think
she
all
ain't
of us,
played me.
I know, like pretty much everybody outside of the show knew what was going on, but
Yeah.
everybody inside the show is still thinking this is all pretty much Wanda, except for Monica. I think she's the
Yeah.
only person that's like on Monica's or Wanda's side at this point. But we do get Agatha saying that I killed Sparky too, which I told y'all she killed that dog.
I told y'all she sacrificed that dog to Ralph.
Killed that dog. Yeah, that we're gonna get into that in predictions, but we do also get something in this episode that we haven't got before with previous episodes, and that is an end credit scene. We get an end credit scene where Monica, which I'm so glad she did. I don't know why she didn't do it while she was walking away when Agnes was walking away with Wanda, but she goes up to Agnes's house and looks through windows, and she actually opens up the basement doors and sees that purple type of magic that Agatha does. Coming from vines in the basement, and you can see actually when she looks down there, her eyes turn purple for a little bit, but then next thing you know, it's Pietro tapping Monica on her shoulder that's saying Snooper's gonna snoop, and it goes out. So I think at that point Agatha might have Monica in the next episode under her control.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No. So throughout this episode, we've seen her eyes be gray, green, purple. When she came through the hex, notice she saw the energy within the hex. I feel like her eyes, knowing what her power is supposed to be, prismatic, basically she was seeing the energy, and her eyes turning that purple was a representation of her being able to see Agatha's bullshit going down there. That's what I took it as.
Okay.
So
yeah, I mean that could be it. Yeah, you're right.
I just feel like that scene of her coming out of the hex and showing just like the different spectrums of reality or whatever was not an accident. They showed that for a reason. Yeah,
it's like energy, like I think, what is her powers in the comics where she
basically can utilize, she can basically morph into any level or any type of energy she wants to, but she can only do one at a time basically. But also, as an extension of that, it would make sense for her to be able to read energies as well. I think that's why she got sucked into the hex as easy as she did when she went up close to it, versus everyone else just kind of standing by it and it not doing anything to them.
I think she can travel in the comics. She can travel in a way using that energy as well, like travel fast using that energy. But yeah, whatever it is, I'm super excited to see Monica Rambeau in the MCU. I hope we're gonna see her in more than just TV series. I need to see her. Hopefully she's gonna pop up in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It's probably on the IMDb. I probably just need to look back at it.
She's not listed on there. I did check, but I think she is supposed. Yeah, definitely. I think she's popping up. I think she's a part of Captain Marvel too, though, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Yeah, most definitely. You're right. You're right. She will be a part of. Oh, I can't wait.
Because I need a backstory. I need to understand what happened between little girl Monica up to grown up Monica, and like what happened to her. I need to understand why she got beef with Carol. I need to understand all of this, because there's so much there. You know that there's so much there. It's not just that her mother passed away. Something happened between little girl to grown ass adult, and I want to see it.
You know what? Another thing I want to see in Captain Marvel too.
What?
Her beat Rogue's ass. But anyways,
y'all gonna leave Rogue alone, man.
Yo, like I swear to you, I loved Rogue as a character for the longest time until I actually did some research and find out how she is able to fly the way she can fly. Hell no. Hell no. I understand the beef that Captain Marvel got with you. Really?
But you have to think about it, though. When you think about it, could you imagine Scarlet Witch and freaking Rogue and all the other mysticals kind of get? That would be a bad squad, because when you think about it, Rogue is just as powerful as anybody else when she feels like it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because you were about to say she's just as powerful as anybody else because you be stealing other people's authority.
Hey, but it goes
to yourself.
Easter egg. It goes to this episode, siphoning off energy Do we get look?
Yeah,
Hey,
that's true.
hey,
That is true. She would be helpful in this situation, but she
you
better
know,
stay back from everybody else in the episode. I swear, if you touch me,
but,
we going at it.
but you see what I'm saying though?
I-
Maybe this is a bigger theme though. Maybe we're
yeah.
getting a Easter egg that we are gonna get Rogue again.
Man, I remember an episode of the animated series where she gave Cyclops mouth to mouth, and then she was just like, she was ruining everything. Girl, stand back.
I love her.
Anyways, back to WandaVision. I'm sorry, y'all. I have a thing. I got beef with Rogue.
You
sorry.
hate her, but I love her. That meme where she was like, "No, we got powers," was like,
"Oh my gosh, I'm a mutant. I have powers." Nah, honey, we got powers. Girl, if you don't stand back. Anyways, let's jump into predictions for next week's episode. Do you have anything that you feel like is going? Well, most definitely, something's going to happen between Hayward's strike and Wanda and Agatha in this hex. Something big's going to go down in next week's episode. What do you think? Do you have any ideas of what it could be? Or
well, I think it's just what you said. That's what I think. Something's going to happen between Hayward and that hex, number one. But also it kind of harkened back to all the teasers we saw before the show actually started, and you see kind of Wanda and Vision joining forces to defend the neighborhood. I feel like that's what they're going to be defending it from. I also feel like I feel like I want to feel like they are going to find a way for Vision to survive outside of that hex.
Okay.
This isn't the end for him, I don't think.
Yep. I believe that, and as well, I believe they're going to find a way for, if that is the real Pietro, I think they're going to find a way for him to exist outside the hex as well, and he will become the new Pietro in the MCU. Evan, girl, I done forgot this man's name.
Peters.
I don't know why that happens. I need to go to the doctor job. I'm getting old. Evan Peters. What else? Do you think we are going to see an appearance from Agatha's Ralph in these last couple of episodes?
I don't know, but Ralph is, we've pretty much assuming that he's Mephisto at this point. He's either Mephisto or he's one of those other Dark Lord type figures, because we don't never see this mug.
Yeah.
And I feel like everything she's doing in service, because witches are typically called brides of the devil. So he's one of those. Like,
I believe in one of the earlier episodes, she did mention the anniversary for her and Ralph was the date the Salem witch trials took place. I think in one of the early episodes. So yeah, very well could be Mephisto. So I guess we'll hopefully maybe find out if Ralph even exists, and if he does exist, if he's just a regular person or if he's Mephisto.
Yeah.
Do you think, because again, we've had shots in this episode, not only to the mailman that we've been seeing in previous episodes, but also Dottie.
Yeah.
Do you think that there are other witches in this hex?
I feel like yes. And I feel like they might just be decoys. Then the reason I say that, the mailman is always around. He sees stuff and he's just like, And then when it comes to Dottie, Emma Caulfield's not a throwaway actress. She's not a bit part actress. She's an accomplished TV actress. I don't feel like they would waste her talent for just kind of like something so mundane. You know what I mean? I feel like she's somebody more than what we're making. And I do actually feel like she might be
Mephisto?
No, I actually don't think. I feel I'm leaning more towards witch like you. I'm leaning more towards witch like you. And I feel like Agnes probably took her powers the way she's trying to do Wanda.
Yeah. Or it could be, both of them could be previous witches that she took powers from and now uses them as her little, that wouldn't have been politically correct if I said that. I was thinking Wizard of Oz flying. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna say it, but she just uses them to keep an eye on Wanda.
Yeah,
Man, like you said, sees everything, and Dottie's on the other side of her. Is the other side neighbor, so maybe
yeah,
she uses them now just to keep an eye on Wanda.
yeah. I mean, think about it though. Like, let's say, who's to say that the mailman isn't a part of Doctor Strange's crew? You
Mm-hmm.
know,
True.
that she's siphon magic. Who's the most powerful witch in the MCU? Our Agatha's going for the big prize. She's
Right,
like, I'm finna be the head bitch in charge up in here, and all y'all finna
right.
kiss my ass and bow down. That's how
Mm,
I look at it, and I feel like Wanda's the prize. Wanda's the jaws, the big fish here,
yeah, yeah. I can
and she
agree with that.
almost has her. Almost.
Um, what what do you think Agatha has in store for Billy and Tommy at this point? Do we know? Do we want to take a guess?
I still feel like maybe not so much Tommy, but Billy, she wants his power.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like she wants his power. The thing I'm confused about is like, are we going back to the comic book origins, or is this something new? Like, how did these kids come into reality? Are they Wanda's kids and she pulled them through the Nexus? You don't,
Yeah.
found a way
Yeah.
to do that. You don't know. I'm still leaning towards they age up before this series is over. Shout out to Queerly Beloved, because she said they're damn near going to be paying mortgage by the time this series is over, which again, I just feel like they're going to grow. They're going to age up and they're going to be a part of the MCU.
Yeah, I can get with that. Yeah, I'm like you. I have no idea what she has in store for Billy and Tommy. I feel like it is gonna be like siphoning the magic from Wiccan, and could still siphon some maybe leftover energy that might be coming off of Tommy, because again, he
Mm,
was created with magic, so maybe he's
yeah,
still got some magic in us. I don't know, but I it could be anything at this point.
it really could. I really feel like this episode was, again, the episode that made some things click, but it also opened up new possibilities that kind
Mhm.
of threw some of the other theories not out the window, but out of whack.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we got two more episodes left. Like, I need to
Oh,
understand what y'all finna do with this. Look.
yes, most definitely. Um, 2 episodes, and then we get Falcon and Winter Soldier, which
Yeah,
I just saw another trailer for that today, actually, and I'm super, super hyped
yeah.
uh for that show. But any last words about episode 7 of WandaVision?
Oh man, fist to the sky, Black History Month, Monica Rambeau, I love you.
Yeah,
Please don't try to play Miss Darcy Lewis out. She's got brains, but she got the body yaddy also. Shout out to Paul Bettany, because I really do agree with you. Like, the way his performance in this series has been phenomenal.
phenomenal.
Just thinking about the different genres of styles of television that they're doing, and they've been able to adapt. Elizabeth Olsen as well. So
Yeah,
that's
Catherine Hahn, boy,
she really
MVP of this
shined.
episode, probably,
Yeah,
to be honest with you. Yeah.
she really shined in this episode, and we're just finally glad to confirm, like, yes, you are Agatha Harkness, and you've been behind some of this shit, all of this shit,
Yeah.
probably. So,
Yeah. Yep.
what about you? What you got?
I co-sign everything you just said.
Hooray! All right. Well, shoot. That's the end for Wanda episode 7 review. Thank you guys for taking the time out to chill with us again. We appreciate you. I'm curious to hear some of y'all theories, because again, y'all been coming with them in those comments. Drop down. Let us know. We are still playing with the idea, and we probably won't be able to do a live for the next episode for just due to time constraint. But we are trying to film these same day and get them pushed out same day. Hopefully the finale we would be able to do. We are looking to do a live, so all the subscribers, everyone who's active in the comments, please keep a lookout. If you haven't already, make sure you do follow us on Instagram at Blerd Up React, so you can stay up to date with other news. But yeah, we'll get that cracking, and hopefully it'll be a nice finale celebration party.
Yeah.
Party.
Nothing but a game. WandaVision
Bye.
party. Party. I'm sorry.
It's all good. Guys, until next time, we are your host. I'm Killer Cam.
And I'm Monique.
We'll see you on the next episode of Blerd Up Reviews.
Thanks, guys.